Welcome to the official podcast of the National Pickleball League, where we go inside the NPL.
Welcome to Everything in the Kitchen Dink. My name is Michael Hammer Mike Chen, and I'm here with my co-host, Jen Bone Crusher Gallwas, David the Professor George, and Rick Ripskin Witsken. We're here for our final podcast before the championship. We are so pumped up. This is going to be an exciting podcast. We have a great guest. Yes, we're dressed in pink today for a special Pickle for Pink, which is Breast Cancer Month, and we're going to have a special celebration promotion of breast cancer awareness during our championship weekend, as well as we have many breast cancer survivors. But before we go to that, I just want to welcome back my co-hosts, especially Rick Ripskin, Witsken, and Jen Bone Crusher Gallwas. They were missing for a week or two, busy on lots of things, but I'm glad you're back for this championship podcast, because we're going to talk not only to Chris Karges, who's one of the top player on the Austin Ignite, which makes Jen Gallwas very happy because that's our teammate. But we want to talk about the predictions of who's going to win it, because there's 12 teams, and I think at least 8 to 10 teams really think they have a shot. I think all 12 teams think they have a shot, but it's going to be a real battle for the championship. And I say, there's no heavy favorite, but I've got my pick, and I hope the three of you have your pick as well. You ready to go, guys?
Ready.
Good. Rick's smiling. Rick probably has thousands of questions for Chris Karges, and he's saving for Chris. So, we'll get to our predictions later. But let's, we'll bring in Chris Karges shortly. But I think, Jen, you have a little bit. Thank you for, who's been promoting our league all this time. Our sponsors, our great sponsors.
Yes, we have awesome sponsors. Gamma, the official ball of the NPL, which never breaks, and we love. Gearbox
Chuck.
is the Chuck the ball.
Yeah.
Gearbox is the official paddle. Incrediwear, which I think all of us wear. It provides great, support to our aging joints, which is a great sponsor. We also have Ernie, and we have Julian Coffee.
Machine.
We love Ken Julian. It's best coffee. Gets us going in the morning. And then we finish the day with Fat Tire Beer, which is at all of our events, which is awesome refreshment at the end of a hard day. We also have DexaScan, which is a new sponsor, and Yobo, which we got, David Wells, we got that great gift last time. Oh, Rick's using his gyro ball. And to mention Santa Barbara Happy, because we're wearing our Santa Barbara Happy shirts with Lauren. She's awesome. So great sponsors. We're so appreciative for their support in the league.
Great. Well, Jen, do you want to introduce your teammate to welcome her on the show? Give her a big welcome to Everything in the Kitchen Dink.
Yes. Okay, Chris Karges is the number one female on our team, probably the number one player on our team. She's awesome. She's supportive. She coaches. She's amazing, legend in the tennis world. So welcome, Chris Karges.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
Awesome guy.
Hey, pink.
Let's
Yes.
go. Let's
I like it,
go.
Michael. I like your pink. I like your hat.
See? You see that, Jen? I can dress up well. Jen was
You look
dressed
good,
up.
Jen. You look
Michael,
good.
you're just so cute.
Oh, wow. Look at that. I'm getting compliments. I'm waiting for my first compliment from David and Rick, but at least I got one from Jen today. So thank you, Jen.
You're welcome.
And I like Chris. So, Chris, welcome aboard. There's so many questions. I'm going to ask you one, and then I'm going to pass it on. But look, Chris, you've been such when I started playing pickle, you've been a great legend of pickle. I started playing 3 or 4 years ago, and I heard about you. One of the first names I heard about. I see you play. I watched the way you play, but I would love to hear just your story about how you got into pickle to begin with, and how you became such a great player.
Sure. Well, I come from a tennis background. So I started playing tennis when I was 7 or 8 years old, and my parents were both athletes, and they actually started when I started. So my dad would go out there, feed me tennis balls, we'd hit, do the whole thing, and just loved tennis. And I was small back then. So the funny thing about playing tennis is I had 2 hands on both sides. And because I was tiny, I'm only 5 feet now. And so I started playing tournaments, maybe 9 or 10 years old, and then trying to get some good coaching and high level coaching. And I remember every coach we went to said, there'll never be a great player that'll make it with two hands on both sides. And maybe Rick can speak to this too. And then comes Monica Seles.
Yeah.
So the challenge was being small, right? And I think the great thing about my dad and my family, we kind of stuck with my coach and played with two hands on both sides and had a great career. I played in the Midwest section like Rick, the Western section, and went through that and then played at University of Kentucky.
Wow.
So I had a great career there.
Wildcats.
I'm a Wildcat. I grew up in the Midwest, so I was recruited by some of the Big Ten schools and decided I want to play in the SEC just to play some different players. And at that time, it's probably one of the better tennis conferences. And my story there is I went on my recruiting trip and Kentucky was playing Indiana in basketball. And the coach said,
Wow.
Hey, you're going to come in and how about seats at Rupp Arena on the floor? And I said, Yes, So I went for the Kentucky-Indiana basketball game and loved it and loved the coaches and the camaraderie. And at that time, Kentucky was just building a program. They weren't ranked that high. And this coach, his name was Mike Patrick, and he was coming from Nick Bollettieri's and trying to build this program into a superpower. So I came in with 4 other freshmen, which was really exciting for me to kind of be on the front end of building Kentucky.
Wow.
So that's where I played my college tennis.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then when'd you get into pickleball though?
And then played at Kentucky and then played a little bit on the tour. I ran into that same issue as after I got out of school, I wanted to have enough points to play professionally. And coaches said, well, Chris, I think you need to go to Europe and play on the clay court surface just because of your game style and your size. And so, I had to make that choice with my family and decided, it's difficult, to go to Europe and make that commitment. So I had some coaching opportunities and a couple Big Ten schools said, hey, we'd love to have you as a coach. And that's when I went to Northwestern University and coached there for 3 years. And significance there was I had a sister and she was born when I was a freshman at Kentucky. So she was born when I was 18, Same parents, just a little oops. And so I thought, hey, if I can work at Northwestern and be close to home, I can, see Nicole grow up and help raise her. So that's how, I started into coaching at Northwestern and then went on to Purdue for 12 years and coached there for 12 years. And I loved it, loved the coaching. And so that's how I got into coaching. From there, I moved to Tennessee and met my coach at Kentucky. Mike Patrick was coaching at University of Tennessee. And he said, hey, Chris, there's a great job opening and we'd love to have you at the country club. So started working at Cherokee Country Club in 2007 and was there for a while as director of tennis for the women and the juniors, which I loved working with the kids. And, about 3 years in, a lady came through from Tellico Village and said, hey, Chris, there's this sport, we're playing out here on the lake. Can you bring it to the club? And I was like, okay, what is it? And she said, it's pickleball. And I said, okay, well, I have no idea about it. I'm working tennis here, but I'm open to it. So she put me in touch with some ambassadors and they came and we taped our indoor courts, with the painter's tape.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I got into pickleball. And at first, the 2 ambassadors were like, Chris, come play, come try it. And, from that, I really liked it. So that's how I got into it, just from, somebody coming out from a club, bringing it to our country club.
What year was that? Just so you know.
That was probably about 2016.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So I started at that club in 2007 and just, really worked on the tennis program. And then this woman came in and said, hey, we're playing this a lot out here on the lake. Can we bring it to Cherokee? So we brought it in, and the next thing I know, the ambassador who came, he said, "Chris, let's play some." Next thing I know, 2 months later, he's like, "Let's play a tournament in Nashville." A 4 or 5 tournament. And I'm like, "What? What am I into?" So I had no clue how to play. And it's funny, you guys have seen me play now. I played like a tennis player on the court. I was just, bashing balls, playing tennis on the pickleball court. And so my first tournament, I was like, holy cow, what is this sport? I think maybe we won one match but then I'm like, okay, I got to figure this out. There's something to this game. So that was real enticing to me, just trying to figure out the chess match and figure out how to play the game.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
Well, Chris, I have to tell you that my most enjoyable moment with you was last year in Glendale, Arizona, when you and other breast cancer survivors came out on that golf cart and into that incredible plaza. And then you and Kim Jade and sharing your testimonies about breast cancer was super poignant, at least for me. And I know everybody else that could hear y'all. So what does it mean to you that we're doing that again here in Cincinnati and the players that you know about in the NPL?
Yeah, it means everything. When I was at that club coaching, the one thing I started probably back in 2010, I got with the Susan Komen Foundation and ran a member guest tennis tournament. And, started out very small, a couple divisions. And then, by the time 2023 hit, it was massive. We raised, thousands of dollars for it and just kept growing it and growing it. And so it means a lot working on that. I lost my mom. She was 51 to breast cancer. She was diagnosed in 47. In 1997, my little sister, Nicole, who I talked about, that was born when I was a freshman at Kentucky, she was 12. So that was very impactful to our family to kind of go through that and, grew us closer as a family. And to see her fight at that age with a young child and family was very inspirational. So this means everything to do it again, coming up in Cincinnati. So it's been very close to my heart. And then, so I'm running this tournament at my club. All of a sudden, December 2017, I get diagnosed.
Wow.
That's a real shocker because I feel like I'm healthy. I got checked, religiously and had mammograms and ultrasounds and had a great doctor. So I'm very thankful that I had a good doctor to find it. I went in for a checkup. The mammogram was fine. And then all of a sudden on the ultrasound, we hear, "Oh, Chris, I've got to check a little more into this." Okay. So I leave the place kind of not knowing. And at that evening at 7 p.m., I'm on the court teaching a lesson and I get a call from Camilla, who was the doctor. And I thought, I was very nervous to answer the call. And then all of a sudden, I get the voicemail, "Please call me at home." So I felt a little more anxious, right? You get that call, it's a weeknight, and, talk to her and, she said the word cancer, and so that impacts everybody, your life. And it's like, whoa, everything stops at that moment, and she's like, "You have to come in tomorrow for further testing." And racing through my mind is, okay, I've got this lesson, I've got this to do, I've got this meeting. And she's like, "Chris, this is reality,
Right.
You have cancer." So, everything stops at that point. Your support group comes in, you find out your family and your friends, and, you start on that journey. So that journey was 2017 for me in December. I feel so lucky I had a doctor like her that caught it so early. Someone could have missed it. She caught the ultrasound. She had a hunch. And so I write her letters every year and say, thank you for saving my life. So I've been going through that journey. I had it removed, was on tamoxifen, which is a chemo drug, for 6 years and got off that last December. So that's a big milestone for me.
That's great. Yeah.
So, and just get checked, every year, which brings anxiety. And in Kansas City, Amy Yarborough and the NPL staff was kind enough to, put together. We did a little committee meeting with the survivors, and Amy led it. And you can hear everyone's story. Everyone had an incredible story. It's funny. All of us physically had what they call dense breast tissue. It seemed to be a common theme for all of us, that is an indicator possibly of breast cancer. We all had that similar symptom. But everyone has a wonderful story. Amy did a great job interviewing everyone. The staff was incredible of NPL put it together. So they're going to be running that through championship weekend, which I'd love for you guys to see.
Yeah, we can't wait to see it. Scott McAllister, who's our live stream person, was working with all of you putting together. He's very excited about running it during championship weekend. And we're going to have a celebration for all you breast cancer survivors Thursday night as well. And so we're very grateful for you and all the other breast cancer survivors, Amy and everybody. And just tell us how you feel playing pickleball now, given what you've gone through. Is it like a relief? Is it like you just take that as a blessing every day to play pickleball? And then tell us about your experience in the National Pickleball League and what that has meant to you, all these other players.
Well, when I got it in 2017, I just dabbled a little bit into it, and then, had to take some time off. So 2018, I started kind of looking into it and playing some tournaments. And then I'd say 2021 was the first year I started playing on the tour, playing some pro tournaments, and just, was so thankful to be out there every day, had that kind of perspective. And the thing about the National Pickleball League I love is the camaraderie. It gives the 50-year-olds a chance to play a professional sport, get sponsorships. I think the thing I love the most is the inclusiveness of the team format. You guys, the leadership behind NPL is very inclusive. I think everyone loves the dinners, the format, and the growth. You guys all have a passion for making this thing bigger and bigger and better, and it does that every year. So I think all of us are very thankful to be, have this opportunity to play in the National Pickleball League.
Hey, Jen, I want to ask you a question about Chris. So she's on your team. I know you see her leadership qualities. What impresses you the most about Chris and her leadership of the Austin Ignite?
So much. It's not what people always say, that, great advice, like drop, hit to her backhand or do that is always great. But it's the overall feeling you get around some people, the energy they have. Chris is, she's so kind. She's so positive. You don't feel nervous. She comes over. She's got that real relaxed face. You got it. She's just, so it's just more than anything. She gives great advice. Like, just move. Why don't you, don't keep hitting that hard. That way gives you one thing to think about, which is better than sometimes 10 or 11, but just brings up your positivity, brings up your confidence, and it kind of relaxes you because there's no judgment. She's got this smile. And so overall, Chris has this energy. Like, it's really a gift. I can see that you've coached for a long time. I have not coached like that. And instead of this, good job, keep it up. Some people don't know what to say. Chris does know what to say to calm you down, to bring up your confidence, to get you to have fun out there and be in the moment and be present. So I love when she's sitting there watching and she's laughing and having fun. Her and Leslie are always like, well, what? That's what we told you to do. I'm like, I'm sorry. But, the NPL, I want to say that's such a gift. I don't really, Chris was on Austin for 2 years. She wasn't my teammate last year. When you go to other tournaments, you pick your teammates. So with the NPL, you get to play with all these other people. So what a gift to get to know Chris this year and all my other teammates. But you mix around. I think it's just so fun because people you never knew you knew so much. I love Chris, but I didn't know her. And so it's been one of the, I've told David, George all the time. It's like one of the highlights to like, Chris, do
you want to give a shout out to some of your teammates on the Austin Ignite? You have a great team, and I'm just looking through your list of women and men. They're very talented, but why don't you give a shout out to some of them?
We have a great team, and we've really gelled. In the beginning, we're working on combinations, personalities, all that. And so we've really gelled that. We're looking forward to Cincinnati, but everybody's contributed, all the way down top to bottom. My thing in trying to help people coach is finding their superpower. What's Jen's superpower? I think we all know it's power.
Yeah, it's just
Bone crusher. Thinking.
the bone crusher. Yeah. Trying to nail people, body bag people.
What's Connie's superpower?
Right.
What's Dave Weinbach's, and trying to help them, as a whether I'm their partner, teammate, coach out there. Hey, what's your superpower? How can I help you bring that out? That's for me in coaching. Everyone has different strengths and weaknesses, and how can I help bring that out of them? And everybody on our team is super receptive to that. I think that's a great thing about our team. Everybody wants to be coached, loves the coaching, and now we're getting to know how they like to be coached. So I think we're looking good going into Cincinnati.
I'm feeling
we're
good.
really excited. You feel good, Jen.
And Chris should get credit because she's been next to Weinbach the whole year.
David,
He doesn't watch this. Dave doesn't watch this.
Yeah, David, you're not on mute, David. You got to speak because you're playing in the first round at Kansas City against Austin.
Against
David,
Chris.
You might be playing against Chris. Can you ask her some questions about how her strategy is so we can beat them?
Here's my question, Chris.
Come on.
Everyone knows you're one of the nicest people in the league. You're one of the most competent coaches in the league. You're just pure inspiration. So could you give us a hint of that inspirational speech after your team loses that first round matchup in Cincinnati?
To the Stingers. Go Stingers.
We're going to get stung. It's going to be a battle, David. I think it's going to be a battle like that last time, right? It was a great match. You guys got out to a big lead. We came back, made it close at the end, had some chances. So I think it's going to be a great match either way. Made the best team win.
I'm not going to make the same mistake of taking my shoes off after we get to 6 and have this big lead. And then DK's going around telling everyone, look at that guy. He doesn't believe that we're going to come back. He took his shoes off.
So rude.
Literally telling everyone. So I'm not going to be the bulletin board material anymore.
To your point of the tournament, all you guys can speak to this. It's a clean slate, starting next Friday. And it's interesting to me how the nerves for a lot of people kick in, right? This is the tournament. Before we could say it was pre-tournament going for seeding. Going into the tournament, we're going to see, some nerves or the mental toughness. And that's what I love to bring out on the court. One of my strengths, I think, is just being able to be in there mentally tough and grit it out and, find a way with my partner, and hopefully in the tournament, we can bring that out of everybody. We can be mentally tough and stay relaxed out there.
Yeah, we talk about mental toughness a lot. We've had people on. David George, you always ask, Dane.
Yes.
And I think, David, you saw that match that was epic. It was Chris and Weinbach against Bagme and Headings early on. I remember it was 3. I remember you told me later. Yeah. He said, Chris was I didn't see error. Her ability to take a ball from Chris Headings coming so hard and fast, and her reset. I mean, probably one of the best defensive players I've ever seen. I don't know how you do that, but maybe it's good to be little because you're so low to you're never scared. You are always calm. People do, like you said, speak about what is something that you think about? Is it just all your experience that keeps you so calm and you don't get nervous and you stay so present?
I think that's part of my personality is just being relaxed and a little more laid back. I'm definitely fiery and competitive, but being out there in a competitive situation, that's been a gift for me, is just to be able to relax, stay calm. Speaking about the resetting or people coming at me, I've been fortunate around here. I have maybe 10 or 12 guys that I play with all the time. There's a couple women, but mostly guys. So I'm kind of in those firefights all the time. So I think that helps me in that situation, being able to handle that power, which I love coming at me and, maybe turn it into a reset and then a counter. But a funny story I have about resetting is, when I first started playing, we talked about I'm coming from the tennis world. So I'm, playing tennis out there. I played, it was probably in maybe 2019 or 2020, a little money ball with Mary Helen Atkins of Naples. Okay. And it's an open division. So we're at this tournament in North Carolina and we're kind of working through the draw. And all of a sudden we're in the last match and playing a couple youngsters and they're bashing balls and I'm trying to bash back. And she's like, what are you doing? And I was like, well, I'm just, trying to attack them once they attack me. And so we split games and she goes, come here. And during the timeout in between games, she goes, you need to block or reset the ball. And I go, huh? What's that? And so actually she was the first one who kind of said, hey, Chris, reset or block the ball. So during that, 3-minute timeout, she was feeding balls and I'm there resetting and blocking balls and we ended up winning the match, which is funny. We always talk about that story, but that was the first time I kind of got into playing that style.
You two are two of the best. I can see that.
So
you two of the best.
Wild. So then I'm like, oh my God, this is so fun. I've got to keep doing this. This is amazing, So it just kind of opened my world to pickleball.
Wow. That's so awesome.
She's awesome. Another awesome defensive player. Wow.
Chris, we played New York City, and I love playing that tournament with you. And
yes.
To have a female that can keep a ball so low and so soft, where guys can't just tee off, really helps. Your male partner,
right?
Really grow out there and be long. And I really enjoyed that tournament with you. You've been really huge supporter of the NPL from the very beginning, and you are a great ambassador for our league. And we obviously are growing, as you said. Hopefully we'll have some new teams coming in as well, and there's some great new players on the horizon who are certainly making their mark at these individual tournaments.
Daryl Wyatt, Casey Stinger.
Yeah. So my question to you is, what would you say to the new players, the players that are 49 years old and 50 that haven't played in the NPL? What would you recommend for them to try and get into our league?
I would just say it's a great opportunity. It's very inclusive. I would say after our first year in NPL, right after I went and played a regular tournament, and I have to be honest, there was a huge letdown. After playing the NPL and having the dinner and having the lunches and having the camaraderie, right? When you go play a regular tournament, you're out there maybe with your partner, maybe with a couple other people. But, NPL, there's all this energy and excitement around every match. So if you like that team experience and that atmosphere, all the support, this is definitely for you. The energy level is very high all the way through the weekend.
Yeah. And Rick and Chris, you guys are some of the top players. So you guys are winning all the time. You're playing throughout the day. You're having fun with your partner. For a pod 3 player like me, when I go to a tournament,
here we go.
When I go to a tournament, I might lose the first match, go in the consolation, and I might lose the second match too. And then you're hanging around tournament like 10:30 in the morning, and people say, "How'd you do?" I'm lost, but you know what? We should have won. We should have this. And after 5 people asking you how you do, I run back to my hotel room, okay, I'm watching college football the rest of the Saturday afternoon because it's no fun, right, to play 2 matches being done. But in the NPL, even if you do lose 1 or 2 matches, right? First of all, I'm playing against people my level. I'm not playing against Rick or you, which is good because then I have a chance to win every match. But even if I win or lose those matches, I'm rooting on my teammates, right? I feel like I'm part of the team, and I know in the afternoon we got 2 more matches that I battle on. So which is so exciting about the NPL is you're playing against people your level, right? All your matches are great matches. And I know David's going to yell at me because I didn't say he's a pod 1 player, but you know what? I'm trying to get him fired up to beat Austin. And
he's a top player. He's a top player.
I know. I'm trying to get him fired up. I'm trying to get him fired up for this weekend. We need to win because don't overlook Austin. I looked at their roster. I don't know how you ended up 10th seeded because you have such a talented team. You guys are deep. Lance Coward playing line 3, pod 3. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
The funny thing is, last year Austin made it to the championship, against Indy and finished out the regular season on top. One of the differences last year versus this year, I think, is we won a lot of the 7-5 matches or 6-6 matches. I think last year we were either 4 or 5-0 in the team breakers. So this year, we've been on the other side of that.
Right.
And maybe that's experience. Not sure. Maybe we can bring that together for the championship weekend. But that's the great thing about this league. Like you said at the beginning, there might be 8 or 10 teams that could win it this weekend.
Yeah.
Who's gonna play better under pressure? Who's gonna come together as a team? With their support. Everybody's got a little drama, but who's going to be able to manage that? Right. At the end of the year, who can manage that the best?
And you have a good point, Chris, because they're, who's that guy out of LA, David, that did the power rankings?
Oh, Ryan Willis.
Ryan Willis.
He put together power rankings.
Ryan Willis, right.
And we are one of those teams that jumped up considerably because our 3 team breakers, we lost them. We have, I think, 6, 7 5s, including the last weekend. We were 2-0 on Saturday, and we were 7-5 against Denver and 7-5 against Kansas City, and we had 2 or 3 11-10 in the thirds. Connie
crazy.
battled hard. She had 2 more points, so when it really does come down to a point or 2 here or there, being whatever number we are really doesn't mean that much.
And yet you have John Sperling playing pod 2 sometimes. It's like
and
it's
John
crazy.
Hostetler. I mean, I can see pod 2 with Hostetler and Sperling, and then you've got Chris Wilton and Lance Coward.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Scott Trefethan and
Chris,
Mike
give us
and,
Are you scared? Are you scared, Michael? Are you scared?
Sounds like Michael's scared. I don't know. It sounds like
who do you not want to play again?
Give us a hint, Chris. What's your lineup going to be? Just between all of us. We won't tell anybody else, but what's your lineup going to be in the first round? Like,
we
who's
have to
playing
tell
pod 1?
right now?
It's just between, the
I'll give you a
Let's do it
hint.
off camera. Let's do it off camera.
Chris is in pod 1, okay? You won't face her.
How do you know I'm not in pod 1? How do you know they're not going to mix it up and have me in pod 1? They did it. I played pod 1 last year, and I won my pod 1 match last year.
Oh my gosh, Michael! You talk
Indy.
more about that one time you played pod 1 than Rick does about winning the championship.
Yeah.
Triple ground.
Indy drivers.
Rick, he got you with the moon ball. It wasn't
he
Hammer
did.
Mike, it was Moonball Mike.
Exactly. All right, we got to talk about the championship now. We got to talk about.
Wait, real quick though. I want to
Okay,
just
go
go back to Chris because I have 2 connections to Chris. My daughter's in Kentucky. My other daughter's in Knoxville. Triple bonus for me that when I go to Knoxville, UT,
Yes.
Chris is there and she's
stay here.
opening a pickleball facility.
Yes.
So share with us the name of that and when you think it's going to open. And
Sure. Thanks for bringing that up. We're opening Premier Pickleball of Knoxville, hopefully December. It was supposed to be open in November. We hit a little bit of rock, 11 feet down, so it put us back a month or so. But I met this family when I was working at the country club. They're a great family in town. They develop projects, and they approached me last January and said, hey, let's do pickleball. They found it in Key West. Their family fell in love with it. And I said, hey, I'd love to help you do something. I've always wanted to do my own club. So they've given me carte blanche on how we want to design this club. And we're going to have 6 courts. We went a little small in the beginning and try to cater to the members. So we're going to do a 7-layer cushioning. We're going to do 2 different blue colors. And then we took some things from the Pickle Lodge in Cincinnati. We took, they're doing little countertops off the fence, right? That great walkway through the middle. So you can view, have a beer, have a Coke, do whatever. And then, I don't know if you guys noticed, but in the back, they have some like tennis gray tarps instead of fences, and it really helps with the sight line. So we are doing that in the back of the court. So the sight line is great versus looking to a white wall or colors or windows. So we took some great ideas from Mitch at the Pickle Lodge. So we are set to open in December, 6 courts, cushion. We'd love you guys all to come.
Let's go.
be there.
Awesome.
And so we're really excited about that. I have some great people helping me with it. We'll have a director of operations, have a couple more pros. So it's a great project for us. And if it goes well, we hope to expand into something bigger, 12 courts, restaurant, bar type facility. So we'll
Chris,
see how this first phase goes.
That's awesome. I went to school at Alabama. We grew up in the Midwest. We both went to SEC schools.
Right.
And my wife and I, when we empty nest, are talking about going to the South, maybe Nashville. Who knows? So could be in your neck of the woods. But
Yes.
back to the whole evolution of you in the NPL this year. You know, Chris, I vividly remember when I was drafting you on my team, and it hurt to not be on your team because I know your skills, both leadership and player. I think we were on the Denver Iconics together.
I think
we
so.
can't state that because these trades are not kept under wraps. Everybody knows.
It's the worst kept secret ever.
We were drafting together.
Well, you just gave it away right now, Rick.
Well, we were drafting together. We were drafting a heck of a team, and then you obviously went to a great team. So as we move into these predictions, do you want to talk about the Indy drivers at all, Chris? How do you think we're going to do?
Goodness.
Wow. The Indy drivers.
The defending champion, world champion.
They are the defending champions.
They are.
I think I did have a dream you won your first match.
Yeah, let's go.
Yes.
Wait.
Yes.
Against you guys play
Princeton.
Wow.
I
think
I
that's
did
going to
have that
happen?
dream.
You think
I
that's
could
going to
see that
happen?
I could see it happening.
Wow, that would be an
Anything
upset.
can happen. Anything can happen in this tournament.
That would be an upset, I think, if Indy beat Princeton. Princeton's got a tough team. Not
Thank
saying
you,
Indy
Michael.
doesn't, but
Indy,
Thank you,
though.
Michael.
Indy's got that mojo, you know.
I will tell you, unfortunately, we do not have Jenny Marcos due to her injury or tragic accident. She will not be able to play. That will hurt our team a little bit.
Yeah. By the way, there's this bracket challenge we're doing, right? Where you can fill, it's like the NCAA Final Four bracket challenge. If you go to nplpickleball.com, you can find out detail. Fill out a bracket for who you think is going to win all the way up to the championship. You can also donate to the Susan G. Komen Foundation as part of this bracket challenge. You don't have to, but it'd be a great thing to donate for Pickle for Pink, you know, for breast cancer survivors and awareness, and play this bracket challenge because if you win, you pick the bracket right, you get prizes for winning it. So it's a win-win. You got to have a little fun, pick your bracket, and also support breast cancer survivors and awareness in the month of October. Right. So let's go back to, okay, so you think, Chris, that Indy might beat Princeton. What do you think about the other matchups? How about Kansas City, Austin? Let's talk about that one.
Oh, are we good, Jen? Is it time?
All right.
Is it time?
It's time.
Oh, my goodness.
I knew it was something.
My goodness.
This is like Lee Corso, right? On game day.
Oh, my goodness.
That's right, baby.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
Oh, my goodness.
Make sure you get it down, Jen. Austin.
Way to go.
Listen, bees are scared of fire. That's all I'm saying. Bumblebee.
Oh, my goodness.
There's your answer. What do you think about
There's
that,
your
David?
answer.
Ouch.
David? What do you think
David,
about that,
come on,
David?
say something, David.
David, what's under your shirt? Austin shirt?
He's got a six-pack underneath his shirt. That's what he's got.
Well, you would know. You two are roommates, and you know.
Thanks, Jen.
Oh, my goodness. Wow.
I will say one thing. So the best match I played all year was in mixed doubles against Dave Weinbach and Chris Karges. And we lost. And I don't know how I could have played any better. And then afterwards, they're like, oh, you lost to Weinbach? I was like, bleep that guy. I dominated Weinbach. Couldn't get by Chris, bleep Karges. She was so good that I played the best I've ever played in my whole life, and she reset every single ball.
Why'd you give Weinbach bulletin board material just now? Like going to the championship. Like we're cutting this from the podcast when we go.
You
we're not going to give
that. You're like,
Michael,
if you could learn some of those shots from Chris, please,
oh my
Jennifer.
goodness.
Michael, are you scared? You keep apologizing. Pick Kansas City. You sound like you're the one scared.
Hey,
I'm not scared of Austin.
Hey.
We're not even paying attention to Austin.
Oh, you're on the Columbus.
I already have our lineup for Columbus. That's what I've been working on the past 2 weeks.
Really?
Wow.
Hey, they asked, what's your lineup against Austin? I'm like, doesn't really matter. What are we doing for Columbus?
We're going to have to talk to our great producer, Nick Keener, and tell him to cut this whole section off. Edit, Nick.
Okay,
Nick,
let's say, Rick,
edit.
Rick, you're the only one on this podcast that's not on Austin or Kansas City. If you had to place a bet, who would you bet on?
Don't put me in that position, please.
You have to choose.
Great question.
Tough. That's tough.
I will say that I did say after weekend one that there are going to be a lot of changes, and don't get so excited about who's number one, who's two, due to weekend one, dynamics, chemistry. I do think Austin and Kansas City both have cultivated very nice chemistry. And I think Chris is a big reason why you guys have chemistry on Austin's team.
Too much of a politician. Are you just going to politics? Go into politics.
Still going. Michael, quiet.
Michael,
Rick, pick.
I think it's going to a team breaker.
Oh, team breaker.
That's my
And who's
prediction.
winning? And who's winning that? You have to pick.
I can't do it.
Look at it. Oh, boo. Come on.
I mean, well, I'll answer it if I get the answer to this question. So, David, at the final of Team Breaker, will it be you and Daryl against?
Don't say
Weinbach?
it. Don't say a thing. Don't give up anything, David.
Or
Oh
will
my
it be
goodness.
Saad and you're putting Daryl at two? Come on.
We're moving on. We're moving on. We're not
Daryl
giving away our
went
secrets.
two the whole year. I mean, what was that?
We're not giving away our secrets. Let's move on to the other prediction. Coachella Valley.
At the end, Rick. You're not
Yeah, Coachella Valley versus OKC in the first round. Beth Bellamy is healthy. Beth Bellamy changes their whole team with Beth Bellamy healthy, moves everybody down a level. They're a stronger team for that.
Ho's on that team.
Yeah.
Natalie Shaw, Mark
who
Milner.
are we picking?
Yeah.
We got Coachella Valley, talented, led by Dane Gingrich on that team. They got talented teams, and Kim Jade, their fearless leader. Like, who are we picking? Coachella Valley or OKC to win that one?
Well, Coachella's been very injured. They've been injured too.
Yeah.
Coachella.
You're picking Coachella, Rick. Got it.
I just said they were very injured.
He doesn't like picking.
But yes, I will pick Coachella over OKC. Yes, I will.
I like OKC in the upset.
I'm taking OKC.
Just because of Coachella. I mean,
Chris
I don't know
Karges, what do
how
you think?
healthy they are.
OKC in the upset.
Yep, me too.
Wow.
Wow. I'm going with Rick. I'm taking Coachella Valley. So we got Coachella. And Seattle versus Naples in the other first rounder.
Ooh.
Oh. Wow.
How about Seattle?
Yeah.
I was all set to pick Naples for their first win of the year. I'm just not quite sure about Jaime's health. If he's 100%, I actually feel good about them because I know Steve Dawson's coming back. And so when they have their best lineup in, like Austin, who severely underperformed all year, I think they underperformed a little bit too.
Seattle will win. Seattle will win, and Jaime is injured. And yeah.
So Seattle is it consensus? Seattle.
Seattle. Okay. Next.
Okay. And then I know Chris and Rick are picking Indy over Princeton. I'm picking Princeton over Indy. What do you pick?
I'm picking Princeton.
David?
I'm going with Indy.
Wow.
I don't know if they're going to win, but I'll be rooting for them so hard.
Wow. Why? What against Princeton? Do you have something against Princeton?
No, he's suck it up to Rick, Michael.
Oh, that's why.
No,
okay,
come on.
It's that's part of it. I really I do want to see that Pod 1 men's match though. Talking about some fiery, intense intense competitors.
Cody, Witsken and Miller. Oh, I want to watch that one.
I don't have no idea who my partner is, but I doubt it's going to be Miller. Just saying.
Wow.
Why not?
Wow.
Throwing it in the mix.
Just saying.
All right.
Interesting. All right, little tidbit for Princeton. It might not be Miller. All right, here we go. So the semifinal, the quarterfinal matches we got. Okay, let's just go with the favorites. Boca versus, let's say, the 8th place team. It will be either Indy or Princeton. Who wins that? Who wins that? Boca or the winner of Princeton Indy?
I'll say Boca.
I'm going with Boca.
Boca.
Mm-hmm.
Boca.
David? Boca. Rick?
I'm not answering that question.
All right. Yeah, that's a fair one.
I do think Austin is going to beat Columbus, though.
All right, so let's go that one. Let's go with that one. So Columbus versus the winner of KC Austin.
We're 7-5 and 7-5 with
Jen, you're picking Austin in the upset on that one.
I feel really confident.
Actually, I am picking Austin over Columbus too. Because, see, they're both going to feed down in the losers bracket after we beat Austin and Columbus. I'm looking at the bracket now, and if they win, they'll be playing each other because that's the way the bracket works. So I have no problem picking Austin, right, over Columbus. That's no problem.
In the losers bracket. So, David, you're picking KC, right, over Columbus?
I mean, for sure.
Yeah. I'm going to pass. I'm not going to give any bulletin board material on that one. What do you, Chris, what do you think? Columbus versus the winner? Yeah. Austin. Austin. Rick, Columbus versus the winner of KC Austin. Who are you picking?
Columbus.
All right. So we got Columbus. All right. The next one we got number 3, Houston Hammers, who looked like the top team until the last weekend, and they had a little controversy, but I think they're getting it back, and they are going to play Coachella Valley or OKC. Who do we pick there?
Houston.
Houston. Rick?
Houston.
I pick Coachella Valley in the upset against Houston.
I mean,
David, who do you pick?
You say they got it back. What evidence do you have they got it back? They got nothing back. Houston is like the most overrated team all year, and now we finally saw their true colors here at the end. That's who they actually are. They've showed us who they are, and that's who they are at Houston in the final weekend. So, it doesn't really matter if OKC or Coachella wins, but one of those teams is going to crush Houston.
I'm picking against Houston because I'm a Hammer, my nickname. I'm actually hoping they do well. I'm using reverse psychology, picking against them to get them fired up so that they will do well until they play Kansas City. All right, so then we got one more. This is an interesting
follow
one.
that.
Denver versus Seattle.
I'm taking Denver.
Well, is Molly in or out? Rick?
That's a good. I mean, the bottom of her foot was black and blue, and I wouldn't doubt if there was some plantar fascia tear going on there. So
she won yesterday, right?
She did.
Okay,
yes, she did.
She's tough. Yeah. Listen, that was another one of my favorite matches. Was Molly and Scott versus Dave and Chris. That was they grinded that out. That was such a tough 3. So she's tough. She's got till Friday.
So what do you think, Rick? Denver, Seattle?
I think if Molly can play, I take Denver. If Molly can't play, I take Seattle. What's
your best guess right now?
He just told you.
Well,
I guess. I don't know. Seattle if Molly doesn't play.
All right, so he doesn't think Molly's going to play. So Seattle. Chris?
Seattle.
David?
Yeah, not Denver.
Not Denver.
So, I think I like Seattle there.
Not Denver.
So, I mean, it makes such a big difference to have when one of your top players is injured. We've seen it with almost every team this year.
Huge.
Yeah. The reason why it's so close is very few teams have had their best lineup.
Yeah.
And usually whoever wins, they have all their players there.
Yeah.
And usually it's not like all your best players versus all our best players. So when we talk about upsets, I don't even know if there have been upsets this year. It's basically who has their best team.
Yeah.
And so if you have your best team, we have our best team. I'm not being arrogant or conceited. We have our best team with everyone healthy. And so I like our chances against anyone for that reason. And not every team can say that.
All right. Well, let me just go back to Denver, Seattle.
She's such a great player.
I think Molly's going to rise to the occasion and put the pain behind her and play because it's such a big event. Danny Werfel, champion. I've just seen his leadership abilities, Heisman Trophy. He's going to lead them, motivate them. Man crush, yes. I didn't make it in the NFL.
David, tell Chris what Michael always tells us every podcast. She might be surprised to hear this.
He has such a crush on all these former professional athletes, right? He has to go tell Danny Werfel, hey, Danny, you know what? I didn't play in the NFL. We're like, hey, thanks a lot. Hey, Tommy Ho, guess what? I was never an elite professional tennis player. We're like, thanks for telling us that, Michael. I never would have guessed either one of those.
I know, right? I wouldn't have guessed it either. But anyway, his leadership, winning the Heisman, and Scott Fliegerman, another great leader, Molly Carter, they're talented. I'm picking Denver over Seattle, even though I have a lot of respect for Seattle's team.
Such positive coaching and leadership.
All right, so now we go to semis. Let's go to semis. We got Boca versus Denver or Seattle. Who are we picking?
How can we pick the semis when all of us pick different quarterfinal matches?
Whoever you think. Well, but mainly we know it's Seattle or Denver for the quarterfinals, I heard, versus Boca.
I like Boca. I just think they've been solid kind of every year. Even when they didn't win the weekend, they were always close. They didn't have any huge breakdowns and disasters like Houston did. And so I think they've been really solid. I love Denver. Scott Fliegelman's one of my favorite people on the planet. Just shows you can be an elite player and a nice person at the same time, not like some of the players. So I love Boca.
All right. Jen?
I'll take Boca.
Chris?
That quick answer.
I am actually going to take Boca, and because they won the weekend in Cincinnati, so I think they have good mojo in Cincinnati. Yeah. So I'm going with that karma. So I am taking Boca to win the whole thing.
They're very unified. They got that
Rick.
little
I know.
Do, where they
Rick, what do you think?
If Boca could somehow pull off the upset over Indy, I would take Boca.
Where's Rick? Are you going for your walk, or what are you doing?
Yeah, so
he's going to work on his dinks.
Rick's getting his
Rick's picking. So we're all picking Boca.
I'm picking Boca if they pull off the
upset against Indy. If
they pull off the upset over Indy.
Okay. So we're all going Boca there. All right, the other semifinals we got possibly Kansas City or Austin or Columbus for people who pick Columbus versus Coachella Valley, right? Or Houston. I'm picking Kansas City, of course, over Coachella Valley is who I'm picking. David.
Well, obviously I would pick us, but Columbus has been my team all year. If they pull the big upset and beat Kansas City, then I pick Columbus to actually upset Boca in the finals.
Okay, so you got Columbus if it's not Kansas City. I've got Coachella if it's not Kansas City. Jen, who do you have if it's not Austin?
I'm going to go Columbus.
Columbus.
We've talked about them all year. They're pretty, and they really get along so well, and they've got those great positive owners. They're so much fun, and they seem to gel really well.
Chris, who do you have if it's not Austin?
Columbus also if it's not Austin.
Okay, so 3 Columbus, and Rick, who do you have? Columbus, Houston, Coachella. Who do you have in that?
Yeah, I got to go, so I'm calling Houston, and then I have Boca, like Chris, winning the championship.
Okay, so there we go. So Rick's made the first call. Boca over Houston to win the championship. Chris, who do you have to win the championship if it's not Austin?
I am taking Boca.
2 Bocas. Jen, who do you have to win the championship if not Austin?
I'm going to say Denver.
Denver. Did you just pick Boca over Denver against Seattle?
So many different things.
How do you pick Denver in the semifinals?
I think she's been listening to Rick too much. She's just randomly throwing teams out there.
She just said Boca beats
consistency.
Denver.
What? I pick a lot of teams, but consistency.
David, help me out here.
Stick with Denver. I'm just going to stick with Denver to win the whole thing. If Austin does not.
Didn't she just say Boca before?
I said Molly's going to be fine. She's tough. She'll be fine.
All right, so she's going Denver over Boca in the semis and Denver to win the whole thing, is what you're saying. You're changing your semifinals. You're picking Denver over Boca now in the semis.
Bye, Chris. Thanks, Chris. See you guys later. I got to go.
See
Bye.
you.
Bye, Rick.
All right.
See you in Cincy. Let's go.
In 3 days.
So you got Denver. Okay, and David, who do you have?
I got Columbus over Boca.
You got Columbus over Boca. All right. And I am picking Boca over Coachella Valley in the finals.
Oh, okay.
If Kansas City doesn't make in there, I think Boca is the heavy favorites. They've got it all going right now. Their team has got a lot of momentum, a lot of talent. They're peaking at the right time. I just see them as being invincible going into the championship, unstoppable, and the heavy favorites, in my view, going into this whole championship.
It's going to be close. It's going to be exciting.
All right. Well, that's exciting. So, okay, let's see if our picks come on right. But I still say watch out for those Kansas City Stingers.
We're going to have to figure a little side bet here, you know.
Yeah, we got Darryl Wyatt coming off of a great win in the last tournament. So
congrats, Darryl. He's just continuing to improve, every week. And he just he's out there smiling, having so much fun. There's a nicer guy. I'm just so happy for him. So you guys have a great owner, a great teammate. He's really enjoying.
Great. And thank you, Chris, for coming on. Because
Thanks so much for having me.
You're a great player. I've always admired your game. Your reset is the best in the game I've seen. You're talented. You're mentally tough. I'm glad I'm not playing against you personally.
She will not be in pod 3, Mike.
Yeah, and I probably won't be in pod 1. So
I'll tell you that much.
You can coach against me, Michael. You can coach against me.
we'll try to coach against you, but and thank you for telling your story about playing tennis, about playing pickleball, about your love for the game, about what you went through as a breast cancer survivor. It's like it puts life in perspective, and we're just grateful that we are able to help support the Suman G. Komen Foundation this weekend. So please, for all you listeners, if you get a chance, fill out a bracket. Also support the Susan G. Komen Foundation. You can donate. Go to nplpickleball.com, and we hope we all watch our live stream this weekend. Not only about the stories of breast cancer survivors, but we'll be live streaming this whole weekend.
And we're going to link things here, and everyone that comes out to watch or play, wear pink.
Exactly.
Pink out. Everyone wears much pink.
Yep, and we'll have center court really focused on the championship, and we'll have a lot of great announcers, play-by-play commentary from Ari and Amy and others. So, without further ado, thank you again, Chris, for coming on our show.
So much. Thank you. Thanks for having me. We'll see you guys soon.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jen, can't wait till see you. I probably won't be playing against you. I think you'll be playing pod 2. I'll be playing pod 3 if I play, but I think that's going to be the matchup. But best wishes to you. I'm not rooting for you. I love you as a podcast crew member, but I'm rooting for my team in pod 2.
I understand.
But it'll be a good battle. And David, I guess we're going to be roomies this in Cincinnati. We'll be pumping each other up. And so please flush in the middle of the night is all I'm going to say. And we're going to have a lot of fun, is all I'm going to say, this coming weekend in Cincinnati. So on behalf of Jen Bone Crusher Gallwas, David, the Professor George, this is Michael Hammer Mike Chen saying thank you for listening to Everything and the Kitchen Dink, where we go inside the National Pickleball League.
Thank you for tuning in to the official podcast of the National Pickleball League. Please stay tuned, as we will be back soon with our next episode as we go inside the NPL.